Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrath Maulana Qamar Uzzaman Saheb Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Thursday, the 8th of Rabi'ul Awwal 1446, 12th of September 2024. Hazrat Wala starts off this Majlis by quoting the ayat and the verse of the Quran Majid, فَاسْتَجَبْنَا لَهُ وَنَجَّيْنَاهُ مِنَ الْغَمِّ وَكَذَلِكَ نُنْجِي الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Hazrat Wala is saying that many times over and over I related majlis and discourses from this particular topic, mazmoon and article. But there could be many that have not yet heard it. And if a person doesn't have munasabat and affinity, then it's greatly possible that he will not understand all of it. Allah Ta'ala samajne ki quwwat de, give us the tawfiq and the hidayat, the strength of understanding. These are important topics. In Makkah Mukarramah, Hazrat Haji Imdadullah said, Ashraf Ali, translate this kitab. It will be of great benefit to the people. So, Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam's entire life was on rida. He was totally and completely pleased with whatever came from the side of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the thing is that this heart opens up. The zikr that we carry out, the mujahada and the efforts and sacrifices is all so that this heart can open up. So here, the author is saying that know well that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened the heart of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam with the nur of rida. Allah ta'ala blessed him with the ruh and the essence of istislam and handing himself over to Allah. Allah protected his heart from turning its gaze towards the makhluk. Now, the fire just did not become cool and peaceful. Rather, it becomes cool and peaceful only for that person who has handed over himself, his heart, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So a person who hands himself over to Allah, submits completely to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in any imtihan that comes upon him, then Allah ta'ala will make the thorns turn it into roses, and Allah ta'ala will exchange the fear to peace, safety and security. So if shaitan has to put you into the catapult of trial and tribulation, and the whole world then comes to you saying, do you have any need? Then say, from you not at all, however from the side of Allah most definitely. If they then say to you, then why don't you ask Allah? Then say at that time that Allah's knowledge of my condition suffices me from asking him. Allah's knowledge of my condition suffices me from asking him. So when you do that, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will also turn the fire of this dunya into peace and coolness for you, and Allah ta'ala will bless you with minnat, with honor and ikram, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened for the Anbiya alayhimus salatu wassalam and the Rasuls the doors of hidayat, and thereafter walked behind the Anbiya alayhimu salatu wasalam, the believers, and they made necessary upon them following them with complete conviction, just like how Allah Ta'ala has pointed out to this fact. قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي أَدْعُو إِلَى اللَّهِ عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ أَنَا وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي. Myself and those who follow me will be upon basirat. So Allah Ta'ala, okay, let's continue. Now here, even if you look and you study the Urdu, the Tarjuma, it's absolutely magnificent. But today, we don't even know the Urdu. That person, how can he be an ashik if his gaze is not on the beloved? How can he be a true lover if his gaze is not on the beloved? We all have to go and leave. Allah Ta'ala make the end result good for us. You know, I go here in front of the madrasa, we have those apartments and those flats. The students that are studying in the universities, etc., whatever it is, they study the entire night. I come in the early hours of the morning and they are still awake. And all of that is for something else. It is for dunya. Here, to understand Allah, this ulum and ma'arif, we don't even have 1 hour, leave alone the entire night. We don't even have 1 hour, we don't even have half an hour. How would you achieve this great wealth? So we need to make this heart correct. It's a short and small risala, but in it there is so much of realities that are mentioned here regarding the dunya and the akhirat. Now I'm speaking and I'm talking to you here, and this talk of mine is going throughout the whole world. You know, I was in Gujarat once, and there was people sitting there in the Qamar, and after I finished with my bayan and I came to the Qamar there, the apartment where we were staying. So they said to me that, Maulana, your bayan has reached America and Canada. And I would think to myself, now how is this? Only afterwards I came to realize that how does this year go to the four corners of the world? Allah Ta'ala humko Allah wale bana de. Allah Ta'ala make us people, His people who are conscious of Him, who have His nur, His ma'rifat, His nisbat. Allah hum bana de. Hum Allah ke aman mein aa jaye. And when this happens, we would come into the peace, safety and security of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, Ayatul Kursi, if you read it, there are great benefits. We are told to recite Ayatul Kursi before going to bed. What happens? We are oblivious of everything. We can be sleeping. A snake can come in from here or from there or from the other. But a person is completely and totally protected because he hands himself to Allah, and then he comes into the aman of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Asa ke ghair mere khana dil mein kaise? How can anything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala penetrate into my heart when the thought, the consciousness, the remembrance of Allah is my guard standing outside my heart? It will refuse anything else other than Allah to come into my heart. Now, what type of Tawheed is taught here by Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam? Nevertheless, here Allah Ta'ala says regarding the shan of Yunus alayhi salatu wassalam, فَاسْتَجَبْنَا لَهُ وَنَجَّيْنَاهُ مِنَ الْغَمِّ. We answered for him and we granted him salvation from grief. And in a similar manner, we will continue giving salvation to the believing people, those who follow in the footsteps, those who are thirsty, desirous of the nur of Yunus alayhi salatu wasalam, this nur. They are seeking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala displaying their helplessness, their humility. So we need to keep this Iman strong. And what are the three great fundamentals of this Iman in Islam? It is Tawheed, Risalat and Qiyamat. Tawheed, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Risalat, accepting and believing in the finality of the Nubuwwat and Prophethood of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And Qiyamat is the Akhirat. Many people have rejected the last one, that is of Qiyamat. The philosophers and many others. But what to do and what to say? People don't even listen to these talks. Just coming back to the start. Where does this actually start? They don't have munasabat. They don't have an affinity to this type of knowledge. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb used to say regarding that very same dua of Sayyidina Yunus alayhi salatu wassalam, La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minadh dhalimin. He would say, people say it hundreds and thousands of times, but to no avail, because they just read it like that. They don't even understand what are they reading. So Hazrat Haji Imdadullah, look at this also. He didn't just give the kitab for translation to anybody. Rather, he specifically designated or asked Hazrat Tanvi to do this year. Allahumma inni dhalilun fa'izzani wa inni faqirun farzuqni. Oh Allah, I am graced, you grant me honor. Oh Allah, I am destitute, you provide me with sustenance. And if a person understands himself in this manner, inni kuntu minadh dhalimin, then Allah will give him izzat, Allah will give him razi. Say it with that heart, like how Yunus alayhi salatu wassalam said it, and then see this bala and this afat and this calamity and trials and tribulations that's coming on the ummah, will it be removed or not? Hazrat, we should make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hazrat Tanvi mentioned a magnificent point. He said that look at dua. Dua constitutes of two things. One, in itself, it is an ibadat, an act of worship. And the other one is that you are asking and making iltija, turning to Allah and begging Allah and asking Him for your needs. So, if you granted it, good and well. And if you not granted it, then too, you still do not come home empty-handed, because you carried out a great ibadat, which is that of dua. You will be rewarded for making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now ulama also liked and appreciated this point tremendously. कामयाबी तो काम से होगी, न कि हुस्न कलाम से होगी, जिक्र के इल्तिजाम से होगी, फिक्र के ihtimam से होगी. Success will come by doing something, not just with sweet talks. It will come with being consistent in dhikr. It will come with concern for one's reformation and rehabilitation. We should be pavan with our salat, in tahajjud as well. We should look for that accepted moment. In fact, if the eyes even open, at that time, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ وَتُبْ عَلَيْنَا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.